Howdy, Pink Meadows. Hey, Aaron. Hey, Michelle. Can you guys hear me okay? Are you guys able to hear me all right? Wonderful. Hey, Dark Angel. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here with you tonight. Hey, Candy. Great to see you. Oh, this is great. Hey, Fernando. Hey, Carolyn. Welcome, welcome, Jenny. We've got our moderator, Angela, on the line. That's super. Welcome, everyone. Sorcha, great to see you. David, how are you? We're going to start at the bottom of the hour, everyone. So 25 minutes. This gives you time to get comfortable, get yourself set up. Make sure to grab a beverage and some water. Take a bio break if you need to. We're going to get rocking and rolling at 6:30 and 25 short minutes. Is the music too loud? Hey, Marla, great to see you. Hello from Utah. Jim, thanks for saying hi, and I'm glad that you got a chance to see Ben Thriller. He's an amazing guy. Hey, Dad. Great to see you. Everyone, wave hi to my dad, Charles Boster, who's online. Greetings from Australia and from Washington. Angela, I love that you're getting your steps in. As you guys log on, tell me where you're coming from. I love going back through the chat and seeing where everyone has logged in from. I love this growing global online community. I am really excited to get started here in a couple short minutes. I'm going to go ahead and finish setting up the live stream and attend to a few things. Make yourself comfortable. Throw some hearts in the chat. You know how we do it. Lincoln, Nebraska is in the house. Chillicothe, Ohio is in the house. This is fantastic. I'll be right back with you guys. We get started at the bottom of the hour. Howdy, hi everyone. I'm back from a quick bio break. I've got my water and some apple juice at the ready. We're gonna get started in 20 short minutes. As you jump online, tell me where you're jumping in from. Jim from Atlanta just finished his 117th Tysabri. That's amazing. Hello, Yana. Hello, Donna. This is fantastic. Jenny, it's great to see you. Jude from Virginia. Mike from Virginia. Hey, how are you? Calling in from Berlin, TK. That's fantastic. Let me know where you guys are coming in from. We've got the Netherlands representing in the house. Lane 2 is in the house. New York representing. Martin is here, representing California. We've got Steph. What's up? Hey, Lane, it's great to see you. Absolutely. Switzerland is in the house. This is fantastic. Shara Riley is here. Damien from Texas representing. Colleen, West Virginia, is in the house. This is fantastic. UK, we've got England here. You're up late tonight. Thank you so much. Huntington Beach, California representing. Sorcha's got her questions already. Jenny is in the house. Yeah, it is in fact, it's a Kentucky adult apple juice, Jenny, as it were. Courtney's in the house. We got Miami, Florida representing with Maryland here. Oregon, we got Sarah, and we've got Suzanne Brown coming from Washington Courthouse. This is fantastic, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're gonna get started in 20 short minutes. Minnesota's here, Yonkers, New York, North Carolina. Jane saying hello, howdy, hi. Texas, sizzling, gotta be hot over there. Denver, Colorado, another really hot place. Alexa's in Vermont. This is fantastic. This is really absolutely wonderful, and we've got someone asking if we could do a live stream European time. The answer is yes. Let me know what would be the best time for those of you in Europe. I'm assuming that it's a little bit late right now. Ben is in the house representing from OK, one of our amazing moderators. Outer Banks is in the house. This is phenomenal. Ontario, Canada is in the house. I am loving it. Guys, I am so excited to be here with you today. This is our July live stream. Some of you were kind enough to join me when we hit 50,000 subscribers this past Sunday. I jumped online to celebrate with you, and it was a rockin' time. My dog River is right at my side. Someone asked on Twitter if we could make sure that River showed up, and she's here, not gonna disappoint. Maryland showing some flames and some hearts. I'm loving it. All right, Sorcha, I'm gonna take that to heart. That's a really good time. Mississippi, what's up, Delphi? Raleigh, North Carolina's in the house. Hey, hey. Very hot. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angela. We have our fair share of heat in Ohio, no question about it. Donna says hi to you, River. We'll get River on camera here in a little bit. So 7, 8, 9 o'clock GMT might be a good time. Utah's in the house. A-Stem, you definitely gave River some pets. She was busy at work today. Someone's throwing up some love for Okervis. We've got a cat in the box. Hey, Neil in the UK, it is great to see you. Ben, thank you for the flames. If you guys like this, go ahead and hit that heart button. Throw some hearts up in the chat. It lets the YouTube algorithm that you love what's going on here. We're gonna go live in just 15 minutes at the bottom of the hour. Go ahead and flame up the chat. Go ahead and throw some hearts in the chat. My son's cat Mewtwo has joined us, and so we'll get Mewtwo on camera here in a little bit. Kentucky is in the house. Justin, thank you for being here. Miss Riley is here. Ben's got some hearts. Wyatt is representing from Illinois. This is absolutely fantastic. We've got some questions that are already coming in. Hold those questions for just 14 short minutes. Look at the hearts in the chat. Niagara Falls representing. What's up? Kelly Butler is in the house. Matt Cruz got some flames. Suzanne Brown throwing up some hearts. This is fantastic. Christopher, hey, how are you? Andrea, hello. Shelly, how are you doing? Laura's in the house. This is phenomenal. Oh, we've got Australia representing. It's so amazing to see where all you guys jump in from. We've got Mexico representing. We've got Patterson, California in the house. I am just filled with energy and excitement. We've got Michigan here with Soren. Soren, what's up? Go Blue. I should be careful how loud I say that in Columbus, Ohio. We've got some hearts. Oh, I love it. We've got West Virginia representing. We've got Lori representing from Kansas. This is super duper. Guys, make yourself comfortable as you jump online. Make sure you tell me where you're jumping on from. We're gonna get started in 15 short minutes. Tonight is an Ask Me Anything MS. I'm gonna stay online for at least an hour and I'm gonna take your questions. You fire them up, I'm gonna knock them out. Make sure that you've got your water at the ready. I've got some sparkling water here, my San Pellegrino that I'm very fond of. I've also got some apple juice at the ready. This is really super. Pink Meadows throwing up some serious hearts. Pink Meadows was the first to jump online tonight. We've got Zepper here. We've got, sorts of sharing that Ocrevus didn't work for her. And not every DMT is going to work for everyone. There's no question about that. So Martin says that he was here for the 50,000 celebration. That was absolutely amazing. Oh, we've got New Zealand rocking in the house. That is so amazing. That's on my bucket list, a place that I would absolutely love to visit, New Zealand. Seltzer rocks, you're absolutely right, Donna. I love me some San Pellegrino, love some sparkling water. That's how I get my water game on. That's what we're gonna be doing tonight. We go live in 14 short minutes. Get your questions ready. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Wynn. Hello, Damien. Thanks for being there for that 50,000 celebration. That was a real special moment for me. It was a real special moment for this channel. I never ever thought that would happen. Miguel, what's up? Thank you for the flames. Go ahead and throw hearts in the chat, guys. You can hit that heart button. And hello, Donna Doll. Hey, Alec. A little sleepy. Alec, we're gonna try to do the next live stream at a time that accommodates all of our friends over in Europe. Lemon Peel Angelfish, it is so fantastic to see you, madam. Thank you very much for being here tonight. New Zealand representing for sure. This is super duper. I've got Kit throwing up some hearts. We've got hearts going all over the place. Hamilton, Ohio is in the house. 27 Pharaoh showing love. We've got Jamaica in the house. I don't know if we've had Jamaicans on before. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is great to see you. We are gonna go live in 12 short minutes. Keep those hearts pumping. This is how we let the YouTube algorithm know that we like what's going on. Shelly's got some fantastic heart emojis there. Lane 2, what is up? Sorcha, what is up? Katie, hey, how are you? Feeling tired but doing great. Sonia Jackson is in the house. Kelly is representing Dorset, England. Hello. Swift Gaming 5, asking about the Clemston trial. Hold that question and bring it out in just a little bit. Heather, the voice queen, says howdy. I'm loving that. We've got Deanna Dahl throwing up some hearts. Go ahead and throw hearts in the chat, guys. Get ready. In just 12 short minutes, we're gonna go live. We've got our moderators joining us. I think my dad jumped online, which always makes me smile. Dayton, Ohio representing. What's up, Lori? Linda's here representing South Carolina. This is phenomenal. Hey, Diane's got some hearts as well. GBS P Dots. I like that dynamite. Lemon Peel Angelfish, what is up? I'm so excited that you're here tonight. Baltimore, Maryland representing. Augusta, Wisconsin. Hey, how are you, Rebecca? Tonight is going to be an Ask Me Anything multiple sclerosis. Sonia asks if we're still using steroids to treat relapses. Hold that question. We're going to go live in 11 short minutes, and I can't wait to answer it. Newfoundland, Canada, another place that I would love to visit. What's up? One life to live. Central New York is representing. Mitzi, hey, what's up? Buckeye Lake is in the house. I'm loving that. First appointment on Wednesday. Big high five. Yep, River is here. She is snoozing right next to me. We'll wake her up so she can jump on camera here in just a little bit. Not everybody likes the concept of an MS warrior. I think a lot of people rally behind it. It's not for everyone. Mama Bear, what's up with the flames? I'm digging that. I love it. I love it. Thank you for the hearts, everyone. Should I turn the music up a little bit, guys? Hey, Jen, good to see you. Christopher, good to see you. Ridiculously wet and miserable Ireland. Hey, Kevin. I've had some of the most amazing vacations in Ireland. Truly a magical place. Hey, Mary, how are you? Canada representing. Is the music loud enough? Should we turn it up a notch while we're waiting to get started? We've got 9 minutes before we go live. Diane says the music reminds her of a mosquito. That's funny. Wales is representing. That's amazing. Thank you for the hearts, everyone. Keep those hearts going. Down under, what's up? Oh no, it's Eli. Sonia says the music's at a good level. We've got Wyoming in the house. We've got New Jersey in the house. Okay, the music sounds good. I'm digging that. Arizona, what's up? What's up? All right, thank you, Damien. Hey, we've got, yeah, definitely sounds of India. This is a lo-fi East, Mid-East lo-fi trap music, I think is what we picked. Annie H says that she's been digging my videos. Thank you very much for that. Got the brain image. You like that, huh? Thank you, thank you. Okay, Jane, we're not going to touch the music. Elizabeth, hello from Ontario, Ohio. I love these flames, guys. I love these hearts. Thank you so much. We're going to get started in 8 short minutes at the bottom of the hour. Ernie's representing Indy. Hey, hey. Thank you for the compliment about the golden brain. Wendy, that's super nice of you. Thank you. Mary shares that lots of different people in the family have MS and this can happen. Did I win the lottery? No. No. But if I did, I wouldn't change a thing. Hey, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, representing Missy Cross. How are you? Wendy in Wales, good to see you. Amanda, representing Ohio. This is fantastic. Got Miss V representing, Connie representing South Carolina. Sonia asks if I can teach all neuros MS properly. I have made a near career out of trying to not guess or understand what other doctors think. It's my strong belief that together we can figure it out ourselves. Michigan's in the house. Ah, they say go green. Look at that. Those are fighting words. Donna, that is a really, really nice thing to say. Guys, get your questions ready. Get your water ready. Take a bio break if you need it. Desiree is in the house, one of our amazing moderators. It is great to see you, madam. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for the flames. Bluthen is in the house, one of our longtime viewers and moderators. It is great to see you here. U of M representing. That's where I did my training. I was a resident at University of Michigan up in Ann Arbor. Amazing place to be trained. Yes, I was a professor at The Ohio State University, where I was an assistant professor of neurology, and for a couple years I ran their MS division. Manitoba, Canada is in the house. We've got California representing. Andrew Romeo. Well, Mary, that's really, really kind of you. Thank you for the kind words. We've got London representing in the house. We're going to go live in 6 minutes. As it gets closer to the bottom of the hour, you know it's going to be time for flames in the chat. We don't have to do it yet, but you know how we do it when we get close. We light up the chat with flames. Davis, California representing Kelly. Hey, how are you? Allison, is great to see you. Oxford, currently in London. I'm digging it. Abidjan, wow, this is amazing. We've got people from all over. Fire indeed, Manitoba, Canada in the house. Cornwall in the house. Yep, Miami, Florida. This is a hot, hot, hot time of the year. Delaware's in the house. You guys can start to get your flames ready. I'm gonna open up this bottle of San Pellegrino. You probably heard that. I'm gonna pour a little San Pellegrino over water, over ice. Someone help Walter flame up the chat. Asking about AI. Bluethan, it's my honor and privilege. I love to be here with you guys. What's up, Terry? It's great to see you. Grove City representing. Lemon Peel Angelfish is leading the way. Yep, get your fluids ready. Desiree knows how we do it. It's starting to get exciting. I see the flames coming. We're gonna flame up the whole chat. OHIO, Joe Siders, one of our amazing moderators, is in the house. This is fantastic. Oh no, it's Eli representing Australia. This is phenomenal. Get yourselves ready. We wanna get flames all through the chat. Nothing wrong with hearts, Walter. Lots of love. Fork MS, one of our amazing moderator in the house, representing very, very warm Florida. Hello, good sir. I hope you and yours are doing well. Thank you for the shout out for the 50,000. Desiree's leading the way. Sandra representing the UK. We've got 3 minutes until we go live. I can feel the energy. This is phenomenal. Boise, Idaho, 100 degrees. Woo-wee! Lemon Peel Angelfish showing flames. We've got Phoenix with an iPhone. A-Stem got it going on. Oh no, it's Eli. With some chili. We've got flames everywhere. H-Town is in the house. Michigan to Columbus, that's a story. I can tell that story tonight. All right, Desiree, go run and go potty and come on back. Lane 2 has got the flames going on. We've got 3 minutes until we go live. Loving these flames, guys. Absolutely loving it. Kelly Butler showing flames. Croatia is in the house. Another place I would love to visit. Daniel's got flames. Powder 131 has got flames. Let's give some love to Scott. Mitzi, thank you for the flames. Jude's got some flames. Elizabeth Thompson, she has it going on. Look at all the flames in the chat. This is phenomenal. A-Stem has got it going on. We got 2 minutes until we go live, guys. Get your drinks ready. Sonia, go to the bathroom. We'll wait for you. Hurry back. TK, don't sweat it. We're going to go live in 2 minutes, and we're going to start an Ask Me Anything MS. Don't run away, guys. Howdy from VA. What's up, Holly? What's up, Angie? Alex is in the house. Woo! Desiree, that was really quick. Serbia representing. I spent an amazing week in Serbia back in the day. Flame up the chat, guys. We only have 2 short minutes until we go live. Mystic Firefly, that is a great name. Hey, thank you for the shout out, Ben. Definitely, guys, if you like what we're doing here, you can jump out of the chat and give it a thumbs up. We have 1 minute until we go live. Time to absolutely flame up the chat. Let me see flames all the way through the chat. You know how we do it. We're gonna go live here in just a few short seconds at the bottom of the hour. Get your drinks ready, get your fluids on. Look at all those flames. Counting down the moments until that clock hits the bottom of the hour, and we're gonna go live. Rocker Chick representing New York is in the house. This is fantastic. Thank you for the thumbs up, Jen. Hey, Andrea, great to see you. Love the flames. Eli, love the flames. This is phenomenal. We've got Dots showing up flames. Daniel showing up flames. David Yu is showing up flames. This is phenomenal in Chandler. I'm looking at the clock, waiting for it to hit the bottom. We've got fire going on. howdy, hi everyone. Aaron Boster here. This is our July live stream, and we are live. There's 199 of you that have already jumped online. Thank you so very much. If you are new here, welcome, welcome. My name's Aaron Boster, MS neurologist in sunny Columbus, Ohio. It's actually really nice out today. A little bit on the warm side. I've got my San Pellegrino at the ready. On ice, it's delicious. Welcome everyone, make yourself comfortable. For the next hour, we're gonna rock a Ask Me Anything live stream MS. If you're new here and you jump online, tell me where you're jumping in from. I'd love to go back and read through the chat and see where this growing global online community is coming from. It absolutely warms my heart. If you like what we're doing, make sure to give this live stream a thumbs up. It teaches the YouTube algorithm that you really dig this stuff and helps push it out so more people can benefit from the content. And I'm going to be answering questions. Try really hard to make your question general. I can't diagnose or treat you on the interwebs. I don't have enough information in front of me. But if you can make your question general, then everyone can benefit from it. I've got some fantastic moderators online. I want to say thank you to all of you. The moderators help keep this clean and remove any spam and remove any nastiness, because that's not what we're about. So Bluthden, leading the way, has got a first question helping out. What MS research do you feel should be investigated further? Do you have any predictions for Ekstrom's 2023? You're a rock star in the field. No, I'm not a rock star in the field. So those are a lot of great questions. I think there's several areas that are really exciting. As many of you who follow the chat know, there's been a lot of excitement surrounding the involvement of Epstein-Barr virus, probably being a requirement to later develop multiple sclerosis. And I would love to see the successful development of an Epstein-Barr vaccine. What might happen if we ever developed an Epstein-Barr vaccine could be revolutionary. And I think there's two areas of research that I'm particularly excited to explore and to learn more about, and I'm very hopeful about. The first would be if, in fact, you have to have exposure to Epstein-Barr to later go on and have MS. And if we could vaccinate infants against Epstein-Barr virus, against mononucleosis, we might be able to help prevent someone from developing MS. So I can imagine a situation where we go to an amazing socialized healthcare system, like let's just take Norway as an example, and we vaccinate 5 years worth of all infants, and then we follow longitudinally for the next 20, 30 years. And I strongly suspect that we would see massive decrease in MS in that population. Maybe we wouldn't have MS in that population. But the interest in EBV goes beyond that. Imagine if active EBV in the background is kind of propagating MS and kind of inflaming the immune system, and might be contributing to the pathology and the progression of multiple sclerosis. Is it possible, we ask, if you were to give someone who already has MS an EBV vaccine, might that slow down their disease? These are questions, not answers, but they're questions that are top of my mind. I'm very, very excited about, and I hope that there's more research in the area. A couple other areas of research that I'm very hopeful will be explored is looking at ways to do more than just shut down inflammation with our disease-modifying therapies. We need neuroprotective agents, we need remyelinating agents. I really think that with an anti-inflammatory, a remyelinating, and a neuroprotective agent, we might be able to put the kibosh on this disease. Any of you that follow the channel know that at the Boster Center for Multiple Sclerosis, we are very actively participating in clinical trials studying BTK inhibitors. We have several ongoing international trials studying BTK inhibitors, including fenobrutinib, tolobrutinib, looking at remibrutinib. A very, very exciting time. And so those are trials that are ongoing. We don't have readouts yet, but we hope to have some very, very soon. That was a great question. Thank you very much for asking it. If I don't get to your questions today, don't fret. I go back and I make YouTube videos where I answer questions. I've been doing a lot of that recently. The next question comes from Christopher Gerald. And I'm going to try to change up a little bit here so you can see exactly how bald I am. You can take a look at my apple juice. Oh, that's really good apple juice. And this question from Christopher says, what's your opinion on Mavenclad? Christopher, hello in Minnesota. I really like Mavenclad, actually. Now, when Mavenclad first came out in the United States, I did not get on board. I had some unanswered questions, and it took me about a year to get completely comfortable. I have found a home for Mavenclad. I consider the drug to be the king of the pills. What do I mean by that? I don't think that the efficacy in groups is that of the monoclonal antibodies. I definitely think that it is head and shoulders above the injections that we used to use to treat MS. That is to say, the interferon beta products and glutamer acetate. I also think when you look at the other pills to treat MS, that Mavenclad really stands out as being something fantastic. Mavenclad, like a couple other drugs like alemtuzumab, is a discontinuous therapy. You take a pill Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then you're done for the month. So I like to joke it's a reverse birth control pill. And then on month 2, you repeat Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then you're done for the year. So you take 10 pills the first year. That's kind of wackadoodle in a really good way. And then a year later, you repeat that process. So the second year, you take 5 pills the first month and 5 pills the second month. Then you're done being treated unless you have new disease activity. And so Mavenclad is a really weird drug. It's found a home in my clinic. I particularly like giving folks as we de-escalate off highly effective monoclonal antibodies, as we want to control the risk-benefit. There's something rather attractive about giving someone in, let's say, their mid-60s a medicine like that, where we suppress the immune system and reboot it for a very short period of time. And then oftentimes we might not need to treat them again. It's a great question. Thank you for asking it. Mary, love the respect. You can see Mewtwo, my son's cat, walking through the scene there. Let's go on to the next question. So Matt Cruz says, have you observed an association between MS and arthritis? And yes, there's 2 different kinds of arthritis that I'll talk about. First of all, if you have one autoimmune condition, multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune condition, you are more likely to suffer from a second autoimmune condition. And so many of you on the live stream are familiar with rheumatoid arthritis. That's a second autoimmune condition. And I certainly have patients that have both multiple sclerosis and rheumatoid arthritis. And so that's an association that we can see. It doesn't have to be with RA, it can be with many, many other autoimmune conditions. But there's a second kind of arthritis that I want to talk about, and that's osteoarthritis. Now, in order to explain this, I'm going to change the scene here, and I'm going to stand up and do a little bit of walking. All right. Now, when I walk, I'm going to imitate weakness of my left side. So I'm going to imitate if you have weakness, and in specific, a spastic monoparesis, meaning my left side, I'm going to imitate it being weak and also stiff. And I'm going to walk, and then I'm going to make a couple points. So let's see how this works out. It's a good thing that I'm wearing pants right now. So we're going to go way back here, and I'm going to pretend that my left side is weak. And so sometimes when your left side's weak, you may have to walk like this. And when I do that again, I don't want you to look at my left side. I want you to look at my good leg. Look at the right side, all right? Because we're going to talk about arthritis. So I'm going to do that again, guys. And this is the weak side. And look at my right leg. Look what's happening to my right leg. So when you have a weak side and you can't walk normally on that side, you put unnecessary or undue stress on the good side. And so as you saw me walk there, I was overloading my hip, I was overloading my knee on my right leg. And as you can imagine, if you are forced to walk like that because of multiple sclerosis, after years of walking like that, you can destroy the joints. And so it's not uncommon that some people impacted by MS will develop significant osteoarthritis in the unaffected side. I'll show that to you one more time. Again, we're talking about weakness on this side, and I want you to pay attention to the right side. So as I walk, you can imagine how I'm really overloading that one side of my body. That was a great question. I really appreciate you asking that. MS Water Challenge, yo. When I drink, you drink. You know how we do it. MS Water Challenge. Ah, delicious. I love me some San Pellegrino. I just ordered a case of this stuff. Got it in the refrigerator, got a little ice here in case we need it. I do want to share something very exciting that happened at the Boster Center for MS today. something that I think deserves a shout out. There is a clinical trial that we're participating in. It's called Operetta. So Operetta is a clinical trial for children with multiple sclerosis. There aren't very many drugs that have been approved for kids with MS. And the Operetta trial enlists children who are under the age of 18 with multiple sclerosis. And in the trial, all the children receive a pill once a day, and that pill is either Gilenya or dummy drug. And all the children in the trial get an IV in the arm, which is either Ocrevus or dummy drug. So everybody in the trial gets an infusion and everybody in the trial gets a pill. Half the patients, the infusion is real and the pill is a dummy drug. The other half the patients, the pill is real and the infusion is fake. And this is happening in children with multiple sclerosis. It's a very challenging clinical trial to enroll for, and I am overjoyed to share with you that today, a very, very brave young girl, a 17-year-old who was recently diagnosed with MS, is a hero. She opted to enroll into this trial. She screened for the trial today. She spent the day at the Boster Center for MS with her mother and father and with her younger brother. And she did something that is absolutely heroic. She is doing more at age 17 than just choosing to treat her MS. She's fighting back and she's sticking it to the disease. She is helping us answer a critical question of how we can best treat children with MS. And so please celebrate with me by throwing flames in the chat, by throwing hearts up there, and let's raise a glass of water and toast this brave young woman and all of the people involved in clinical trials. And I'm so very, very honored that we were able to enroll a patient into the Operetta trial today. Very, very special day for me. Very special day for the Boster Center for MS. Very, very special day for MS research. And again, if it wasn't like brave young people like this girl who enrolled in the Operetta trial today, we wouldn't be able to develop drugs. And so I think that's a really, really big deal. And I was excited to share that with you, so thank you. Let's take another question here. So this is a really, really good question. So Connie Pine writes, have you observed, I'm in the middle of menopause and I want to know, does this affect MS? Absolutely, 100% yes, yes, yes it does. Now Connie, this is a really important topic and I'm excited to share with you that I made a YouTube video on menopause and multiple sclerosis. It doesn't come out this coming Monday, it comes out 2 Mondays from now. And so in 2 Mondays from now, it's gonna launch. It's loaded up in YouTube and it'll come out in 2 weeks. And it's a pretty comprehensive video, or at least I hope it's a pretty comprehensive video. But I would like to talk a little bit about it right now, just because it's such an important topic. A little bit of apple juice. And we're gonna change up the scene. So let's talk for a few minutes about menopause and MS. So first of all, women develop MS more often than men, 3 to 1. And anytime there is a fluctuation in hormone levels in a woman, it can cause a change or a blip in MS activity. And so it's really very interesting and sometimes very frustrating. There are women that during their monthly menstrual cycle, they will notice an uptick of MS symptoms. And when a woman becomes pregnant, the hormonal changes have a major impact in her MS. I saw a very fantastic family this morning who has been trying diligently to get pregnant. They had to use IVF, and they're now 6 weeks pregnant. And so I spent a good portion of our clinic visit today reviewing the information about pregnancy in MS, and maybe we'll talk about that later. But women, when they hit around age 40, they start to go through clinical perimenopause. And what's happening is estrogen levels start to fall around 20 or so, 25, 30, and progesterone levels start to fall, and anti-malarial hormones start to fall. And as these start to fall, a woman can go through menopause where she stops having her menstrual cycle on a regular basis, and eventually that stops completely. And menopause can cause a bunch of symptoms, and we're going to go through them really quickly. Menopause can cause thinning bones. Menopause can cause difficulty with bladder and bowel function. Menopause can interrupt the bedroom. Menopause can cause hot flashes. Menopause can cause cog fog. Menopause can cause depression. Menopause can cause very significant problems with sleep and increased fatigue. And as I list those symptoms, you might be thinking, well, gosh, Dr. B, those are a lot of the same symptoms that we see in multiple sclerosis, and you're absolutely right. Now, something else which is really remarkable is that menopause also can make MS get worse faster. Now, when you look at women pre-menopause in men get worse faster than women. But after a woman has gone through menopause, their disease speeds up and it progresses at the same rate that men do. And this is a major problem when you consider that most people with MS are women, and you consider that about 1/3 of all people with MS are women who are either perimenopausal or postmenopausal. This is not a small issue, it's a very major issue. Now, in the YouTube video that I'm putting out in 2 weeks, I spend some decent amount of time talking about options for treatment. And the research is really interesting. It looks like supplementing hormones with hormone replacement therapy can have a very, very successfully positive impact on helping with perimenopausal symptoms and maybe even slowing down that progression of MS. Now, taking hormone replacement therapy is not without risk, right? And there's some very significant risks of blood clots, and there's significant risk of breast cancer if you're using progesterone. So I'm not telling you to run to your OB-GYN and start taking hormone replacement therapy, but I am strongly suggesting that the risk-benefit of hormone replacement therapy in someone with MS probably favors taking hormone replacement therapy. And I think that it's imperative that you have a 3-way conversation between yourself, your obstetrician gynecologist, and your neurologist. And so that was a great question. Thank you for asking it. I really appreciate it. I also appreciate the fact that there's 261 folks that are online right now. Thank you very, very much. This is amazing. MS Water Challenge, yo. Woo! Love me some Pellegrino. Thank you for the fantastic question. We're now going to move along to another question. This question comes from Matt Willis. Whoops, hold on, I got to find Matt's question. Don't worry, Matt, I'm scrolling back trying to find it. As many of you know, I am dyslexic, and looking at lists and columns is not something very easy for me to do. Where is Matt's question? Bear with me, yo. Matt, I lost my place. All right. Here we go. Okay, so Matt Willis, I found your question again. Sorry about that, guys. Excuse me. Matt says, so I'm newly diagnosed with MS. The neurologist said it looks benign. From the scan I've had it for many years, I'm now having a relapse. So I wanna comment on what Matt said, because I don't believe in benign multiple sclerosis. So there was this concept which was propagated from the Mayo Clinic, where they said some people have benign MS, which they define as a disability score under 15 years into disease. And I think that's a bunch of hogwash. I think that the way they measured disability was flawed because it did not take into consideration fatigue or cognitive impairment. And it's presumptuous and incorrect to assume that someone with a disability of 3 is benign. Also, a decent percentage, at least 1/3 of those people that met a benign diagnosis go on to have aggressive disease later. And so I don't believe in benign multiple sclerosis. I think that MS is a beast. I think that we're not smart enough today to be able to tell who's going to have an easy breezy cover girl experience and who's going to really suffer. And so it's my strong belief that we have to attack MS with every tool we have available. Many of you know that I want you to be 5 for 5 in your fight against MS. There are 5 things that I'm aware of that help slow down the disease. Let's run through them really quickly. Number 1 is to exercise as part of your lifestyle. Number 2 is to eat smart and supplement vitamin D and up your water game. Number 3 is to avoid cardiovascular risk factors, particularly avoiding smoking exposure. Number 4 is the daily practice of mindfulness. And number 5 is to take the most effective disease-modifying therapy that you're comfortable with and make sure that it's working. I think that every person with MS does very, very well by abiding by the 5 for 5 concept, and it's absolutely what I preach and what I practice at the Boster Center for Multiple Sclerosis. So Matt, I wish you the very, very best of luck. I don't believe in benign MS, and I want you to be as aggressive as you're comfortable and trying to smack the disease in the face. Thank you for that question. Let's look at the next question. So we've got a question here. I can't pronounce it. So MS Gunsel, and I'm probably not saying Gunsel right, and so I apologize if I just butchered your name. What about your Mavenclad experience? What if someone experiences a flare-up a year after the second dose? Do you give them another course of Mavenclad or switch to another disease-modifying therapy? So I think I've probably treated well over 100 people with Mavenclad so far, which is not the most gigantic experience, but it's not a small experience. And I would tell you that the majority of the patients I've treated have only been treated out 3 years because we haven't had Mavenclad available in the United States as long as we have had in Europe. And so I don't have patients that have gone out much farther than 3 years. Now there is a difference between the American label and the European label. In Europe, if you have an attack after year 2, so in year 3 or 4, you can take more Mavenclad. In the United States, the label doesn't allow us to do that. You are allowed to use any other drug, but they don't want you to stack Mavenclad in year 3 and year 4. So when we have breakthrough disease with Mavenclad in year 3, we treat with steroids, we hasten recovery, and then we have a discussion about do we watch and wait, which is not my style, or do we consider another therapy? Now, if I was allowed to redose with Mavenclad and the patient had done very, very well up until that point, I absolutely would redose with Mavenclad. That was a great question. Thank you for asking it, and I hope I didn't butcher your name. So Jacob writes, question. Well, first of all, Jacob, let me change. Time for the Snapchat filter. Now, some of you hate the Snapchat filter. Some of you love the Snapchat filter. I actually got a comment recently that they thought it was disrespectful to use a Snapchat filter while answering questions. If you think that this is not very polite, I apologize to you. I'm going to be honest with you. I do this because it keeps things spicy. I do have fun on this live stream with you, and this is a time for me to let loose a little bit. And so I hope that you don't find it offensive. I'm not trying to poke fun at the disease. I spend a tremendous energy trying to empower, trying to energize, and trying to educate people impacted by MS. And my YouTube videos tend to be pretty straightforward and serious. I'm delivering facts, and I'm trying to educate. And so I hope that you allow me every once in a while on the YouTube live stream to cut loose and be a little bit silly, but I'm absolutely not trying to make fun of the disease. And I'm going to answer this question as a Viking. So the question is, what does it mean when you have lesions shrinking? Is that good or bad? I keep getting mixed responses online. Well, the reason you probably have mixed responses is a shrinking lesion is good early in the disease and bad later in the disease. Let me try to explain. When you see a new MS lesion, a white spot, that represents inflammation. And if subsequently the inflammation quells and the spot gets smaller, that's good. But if you have a fixed white spot that you've had for a really long time, and you're seeing later in the disease that it's shrinking, oftentimes that actually is a bad sign, and it also relates to the brain volume shrinking. And so I think a shrinking lesion, whether it's good or bad, depends on when we see that lesion shrinking. That was a great question. So Miss Boyle, and the reason I say Miss Boyle is Sorcha has explained to me how to say her name multiple times and I can't get it through my head. I'm very, very sorry. I adore your questions. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Any thoughts on DMT after hematopoietic stem cell transplant? Would be lower efficacy or lower risk DMTs be the right option, or higher meds? Now, this is a very good question. And before I answer it, I am going to change up the Snapchat filter. That's a little bit weird. Here we go. This is one of my faves. So, Sorcha Boyle, let me answer this question. When you reboot the immune response with hematopoietic stem cell transplant, you're hopefully changing the trajectory of the disease. Oftentimes when someone gets a hematopoietic stem cell transplant, they have very aggressive disease. And if you think about their progression of disability, you'd have to kind of show a slope like this, which is bad. So when you do a stem cell transplant, hopefully you're shifting the curve down. Now, it has not been my experience that a stem cell transplant knocks the disease out, but it is my experience in some patients that it slows the disease down and they have a different trajectory. Unfortunately, many of the patients that I care for who have had previous stem cell transplants do go on to have MS disease activity. Fortunately, it's generally not as severe as it was before the transplant, and we do need to use medicines. I think it's appropriate to start a disease-modifying therapy if we see the return of activity after a transplant. And so I have used B-cell depleters very often. I have several patients who have had attacks after a stem cell transplant, and we've put them on, say, Ocrevus, and that works very well. Her question is very mature. She's saying, well, would the risk-benefit be more in the favor of a less aggressive drug or a less effective drug? And one of the things about stem cell transplant is when your cells return and you've repopulated your immune response, you're not immunosuppressed. And so I really think it opens the door for all kinds of different treatment. That was a great question. Let me change back. Oh, that was weird. Did you see that? I'm a cartoon. Now I'm a human. I'm a cartoon. Now I'm a human. That's pretty wild. The next question comes from David Guest. David says, if baclofen isn't working for spasticity, what's the next drug you try out? I'm getting bad spasms when exercising and 40 milligrams of baclofen isn't stopping it. Well, David, there's a couple options here. One of the things that we can do is we can do Botox injections. So I'll use my arm as an example. So if you think about my arm here, let's pretend that I'm having spasms of my arm, all right? Or this could be your leg. And taking baclofen's not helping. I'm still getting cramps and spasms, and it's really bad. We could do Botox in these muscles, and we could relax the muscles. And Botox only works where you inject it. So Botox has no systemic effects. And so you can be very, very targeted, and you can relax that muscle or that muscle belly. And in conjunction with baclofen, that can be very helpful. There are other oral agents. One of them that I use a lot of is Xanaflex, tizanidine. But Xanaflex, tizanidine, is extremely sedating. And so I have a great trouble in using it during the day. Most of my patients can't handle it during the day. What else could you do? I'll tell you after we do the MS Water Challenge, yo. When I drink, you drink. You guys know what to do. Ooh, that's good. Another thing that whoops, I'm spilling stuff here. Another thing that you could do is you could consider a baclofen pump. And so when you take oral baclofen, so you're saying you're taking 40 milligrams of oral baclofen, some of it gets dissolved in the saliva, a lot of it gets dissolved in the stomach acid, then it goes into your bloodstream. And when it's going through the bloodstream, about half of it is cleared out by the liver. That's called the first pass effect. And so you don't have very much left in the blood. Then it's got to do something really hard. It's got to go from the bloodstream, and it's got to cross the blood-brain barrier. Now, baclofen is lipophilic, meaning it likes fat. And the blood-brain barrier is 2 layers of fat. So baclofen binds to it and it doesn't want to go through. And so when you swallow baclofen, about 4% actually gets to your spinal cord. And so when you take that 40 milligrams, only a very small percentage of the 40 milligrams actually gets where it needs to get in the spinal cord. And so in some situations, the amount of oral baclofen that you would need to take for you to have a decrease in spasticity would also put you in a coma. And in those situations, it's reasonable to think about an intrathecal baclofen pump or a baclofen pump test dose. Now, we don't meet someone and put a pump in them. That's crazy talk. But we can do a baclofen test dose where we bring them into the clinic. I do this at the Boster Center. And we inject them with liquid baclofen in their spinal sac, and then we observe them for the day. And we can find out if that works better. Now, something just happened that I don't think has ever happened ever since I started this YouTube channel. There are 301 people online, and that's amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't ever think that we've crested 300 before. That's absolutely phenomenal. This past Sunday, we hit 50,000 viewers. Subscribers, excuse me. That was a colossal event. And now we have 300 people online. And so thank you to each and every one of you. What a magical thing to have happen. I'm so very, very appreciative. Let's keep asking questions. Wow, 300. That's phenomenal. Wow. You know what? To celebrate 300, we should bring my dog on and say hello, howdy, hi. River dog, come here. Some people on Twitter were asking if River would join us, and she certainly will. Come here, baby girl. You want to say hi to the internet? So this is River Bear Boster, the love of my life. She's an 8-year-old American Mastiff puppy. She's 180 pounds of pure joy. She's a work doggy. So she comes to the Boster Center for MS almost every day, and she really helps families quite a bit. She sits during their infusions. She sits with us in clinic. She tools around the clinic, checking out just to make sure maybe people have brought her snacks, and she's an absolute joy. River, can you come over here so people can see how gorgeous you are? Come here, baby. Come here. This floor is really slippery for her. I know, you're a very good girl. Yep, this is my River Bear Boster dog. She is a wonderful American Mastiff, 8 years old. Thank you very much. All right, go ahead and lay down. Go lay down, baby girl. So a couple people on Twitter asked if she would jump online, and I'm really glad that she could be here with me. She is absolutely wonderful. I spend more time with River than any human. She sleeps in bed with me. She comes to the bathroom with me. She definitely goes to clinic with me and rides in the back of my car, which makes my car very, very furry. Come here. Come here, sweetie. All right, let's look at another question. Let's change up the filter. There you go. You want to lay down? Go ahead, lay down, sweetie. Down. Good girl. Lay down. All right, let's look for another question, guys. So, how do I say, is this Wyoming? It says, after listening to Dr. Beaver's video on long-term use of B-cell depleters, what are your thoughts on long-term use? So, Brandon Bieber is a friend of mine. I love that guy. He's out in California. He's an MS specialist who has done fellowship training. And I think he's a really, really good doctor. I also love the fact that he's got a thriving YouTube channel. So if you're not familiar with Dr. Brandon Bieber, go on YouTube and check him out. You definitely want to subscribe to his channel. I think he does great work. He made a very contentious video where he said that maybe we shouldn't take B-cell depleters for forever and ever, that we should just do it for a short period of time. And I don't agree with him. I like the guy a lot. I think he's very, very smart. But I don't agree that we should only do it for a short period of time and then stop. I think instead that we have to constantly evaluate the risk-benefit of ongoing therapy of any flavor. And I think very oftentimes for individual human beings, it is in their best interest to keep on keeping on. Now, that's not true for everyone, but I think everyone's an individual. And whereas I like his video, and I think it's completely okay that he and I don't always agree, I don't share his opinion. So thank you for asking that question. So Desiree, one of our amazing moderators, is helping out by throwing up a question. So Daniel is in the process of getting a second autoimmune illness that affects the nervous system on top of the MS. How do doc treat both illnesses? And so there's a couple different ways that we treat both illnesses. So depending on what the illness is, we may need to get two specialists. And so I'll give you an example of a patient that has ankylosing spondylosis, which is an autoimmune disease affecting the spine, not the spinal cord, but the bones of the spine. and they also have MS. And so they have a rheumatologist who specializes in the bones, and they have me, MS neurologist. And we do this, and we say, hey, what do you think about this therapy? No, I don't think that's safe. Okay, what about this therapy? Oh, that may work. And then we partner together so that we can provide the best care for the human being. And sometimes it actually takes having more than one subspecialist on the scene. There are some concomitant autoimmune diseases that I can take care of by myself, but oftentimes in complicated cases, we're going to get a second helper. I'll give you another example. It's not uncommon that someone with multiple sclerosis also may have diabetes. And there are rock star endocrinologists out there, and I partner with them so that I can work with them. I take care of the MS and they take care of the diabetes. I'll give you a third example. Very commonly, people with multiple sclerosis can develop thyroid difficulties, autoimmune thyroid problems. And it's very, very helpful to have a rock star endocrinologist on the scene who can help me with the thyroid problem while I take care of the multiple sclerosis problem. How do we do that? How do we collaborate? We talk to one another. We call one another on the phone. Hey doc, what do you think? And we write each other letters. And that's really, in my opinion, the very best way of doing that. I think it's important that we put the patient and the family in the center of the decisions, and then we circle around them to help lift them up so that they can live their best life despite having multiple autoimmune conditions. Great question. Let's keep looking for other questions. So this is a really good question. I'm not sure that I can pronounce your name. Be'eri Molem. And so if I said that wrong, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. B-E''E''R-I writes a great question. How long do you recommend MS patients stay at work? Now, I've been doing MS neurology just shy of 2 decades, and it has been my observation that my patients who are either working or going to school tend to fare better than those that are not. I want to explain. I think it has something to do with psychology. If you are working for 8 hours during the day or 4 hours during the day, during those hours, you don't have time necessarily to think about your MS. You have to focus on another task. You have to be mindful about doing something else. And I think that break from MS is very, very emotionally and philosophically beneficial. And so it's my observation that my patients that aren't able to work, they can spend a lot of time thinking about their nasty disease. Now, does that mean that if you can't work that you're doomed? No, not at all. But it's my goal to help keep you working as long as you can. And here's where we have to understand the concept of work accommodations. This is something that unfortunately I think the United States kind of sucks at. And this is the concept of work accommodations, where you can keep working if the work can adapt to the needs of the human being. Let me give you a couple examples. I take care of a lot of people who work in a factory setting. So there's big Honda plants here in Ohio. And there are people where they go into work and for 6, 8, 12 hours, they're standing at a machine and they're operating a machine. And they may be doing the same tasks with the machine again and again and again. It's very, very intense work. And for some of these patients, they really struggle to stand in certain types of shoes and to do that for hours and hours on end. If we can make a work accommodation, so for example, if we can allow them to sit in a stool, for example, if we can allow them to change the kind of shoes they wear, for example, if they can step off the line for a certain couple minutes every hour or two, they can keep working for a very long period of time. And I think that before someone has to step away from the workforce, the better part of valor is to look for work accommodations. I'll give you another example. I have the privilege of taking care of a lot of teachers. Being a teacher is a really, really hard job. And there are work accommodations that can allow someone to be a very effective teacher and keep them working longer. What do I mean? Well, oftentimes by the end of the school day, the teacher is spent. The human being has cog, fog, and fatigue, and it's really hard to teach at the end of the day. So if they have planning sessions, having the planning sessions the last period of the day gives them a reprieve because they don't have to be up herding cats and trying to manage a bunch of munchkins. And they can use that planning session to do things at a slower pace where they don't have to be out in front of everyone, and that can be very valuable. Having a teacher that doesn't have to climb to the second story or the third story or have to change classrooms and go there and go there and go there, that can be very helpful. Keeping the teacher on the first floor. If there are students that have special educational requirements, like an IEP, having a teacher's aide in the classroom can be paramount to success. These are all examples of work accommodations where we can help someone continue to work as long as possible despite having multiple sclerosis. And it's my opinion that that's a really, really good idea. If you're no longer able to work, or at least not work in the job that you've been doing, if you can work part-time, or if you can volunteer, if you can continue to be a member of a larger community, I think emotionally here and intellectually, it's very, very helpful. Now, that's not possible for all people. Let me share one other work accommodation, which has become very, very accepted, or very much more accepted since the beginning of the global viral pandemic, and that's working from home. Many patients can be terribly successful by working from home because they're not spending vast amounts of energy getting ready for the day, driving into the city, parking, wasting lots of energy getting to the workplace. They can wake up, take a shower, eat some food, sit down, and they can start to work. And they can conserve energy. And so I think that is a fantastic question. I want to help people continue to work as long as they can. And I think that the way that we accomplish that is through work accommodations. I made a video a couple weeks ago, which was not very popular, but I think it was a really important video. We're going to see my son's cat jump down here. There's Mewtwo. Let me see if I can get Mewtwo to come over here and say hi. And the video that I made was on FMLA, the Family Medical Leave Act. This is here in the United States a law, a federal law. And if you qualify for the Family Medical Leave Act, it affords you the opportunity to step away from work without losing your job so that you can attend doctor's appointments or so that you can help your loved one attend doctor's appointments or hospitalizations or treatments. And it helps facilitate work accommodations. So if you are a person impacted by MS, or if you are the family member of a person impacted by MS, and you work at a large enough company, there has to be at least 75 employees, and you have to work at least 1,250 hours in the last 12 months, then you may qualify for FMLA. And I think getting FMLA is a really, really good idea. MS Water Challenge, yo, you know how we do it. When I drink, you drink. Drink up, guys. All right, let's look at the next question. Here's a question from Sonia Jackson, who says, question. Overlapping, oh, I'm gonna change the thing. Okay, we're gonna come back to the Snapchat filters. If you guys love this or hate this, let me know. That's not gonna work. There, I'm a cool kid now. Woohoo! All right, this is awesome. Honestly, this is one of my favorite Snapchat filters. I'm too cool for school. So the question is overlapping MRIs for monitoring small changes over time. So I want to use this question to talk about why do we get an MRI? Sometimes a patient will say to me, Dr. B, I don't want to get an MRI this year because I'm doing fine, so I don't need an MRI, right? Wrong. We don't get an MRI once a year because you're doing poorly. In fact, if you're doing poorly, I don't need an MRI because you're already telling me what's going on. You're not doing well. Excuse me. We need an MRI, in my opinion, once a year when you're doing well because we're looking for subclinical changes. We're looking for changes that have not yet manifested clinically, but we can see them radiologically. You can pick up new structural brain and spinal cord damage on the MRI, which does not manifest clinically yet. And so when we are monitoring someone for MS, we need to be good listeners because you are a you expert. You know more about you than I ever will. That's a fact. And so I need to listen if you're failing the litmus test of life. I need to listen if you're having attacks, etc. I need to listen if you're having increasing trouble doing things. We also need to look at function. And so when you come into the Boster Center for MS and we do the neurological examination, what I call the MS Olympics, when we do functional testing, we do the pegs, we do the walking, we do the matching tests, when we look at the visual acuity, all of these things are functional tests to look for evidence of disability, dysfunction, problems with the nervous system. But the third way that we look at things, the third way that we assess is by looking at structure, by looking at the MRI. And so it's my opinion that getting an MRI of the brain once a year, look, I just put up 2 fingers, once a year is really a good idea. And I think getting an MRI of the spine every other year is a really, really good idea. And what we're doing is we're looking so-called under the hood. I'll use an example. When you have a car, you're supposed to take it to the dealership or the mechanic once a year, right? You're not taking it to the mechanic because you identified a problem. You're just supposed to do that. And sometimes when you take your car to the mechanic will call you up and say, hey, Mr. Johnson, we identified that your brake pads are really getting thin and we're going to replace them. You say, I didn't notice a problem. And the mechanic says, yeah, that's exactly right. We identified it before you had a problem on the road because I don't want you driving down the highway and find out that your brakes don't work. So by checking, quote, under the hood, we can identify a problem before it manifests. Now, you are not a car, you're a human being. But the MRI is a way of looking at structure. That's a biomarker. It's a very, very important biomarker. Which brings me, and let me get off this Snapchat filter, to sharing another area that I'm very excited about, an area of research, which is looking at a blood biomarker, neurofilament light. And so neurofilament light chain is now a blood test. It's not commercially available. It's available, unfortunately, only in research right now, but it will be commercially available, I think, in the next couple years. And when the neurofilament light chain goes up, disease is active. When it goes down, disease is under better control. And I do think that in the next 5 years or so, we're going to be able to draw a NFL and we're going to be able to see if someone is having disease activity before they actually manifest disease activity clinically. I think that's a really, really special idea. I'm very excited about that research. And that's a biomarker that I think is going to hit fruition. All right, let's look at another question. So here's a question from CJ, and we're gonna get a little water action going on before I answer a question from CJ. Love my Pellegrino, MS Water Challenge, yo. CJ writes, do you think the transition from DMTs to BTK will be straightforward? Example given. Going from Tysabri to BTK, would it be as simple as switching when an infusion is due? So this is a good question. Butyrate tyrosine kinase inhibitors, BTK inhibitors, are being studied currently. And the reason that we do research is to answer important questions like, is this in fact as helpful as we hope it is? Is it better than current therapies? At the Boster Center for MS, we are comparing BTK inhibitors against Aubagio. We also just picked up a very exciting trial from the manufacturer Biogen, where we're comparing BTK inhibitors against Vumerity. And actually, just for a second, that's a really interesting trial because there's 2 phases to that trial. The first is you take 2 pills a day. You're either taking Vumerity twice a day or you're taking the BTK inhibitors, and you don't know which one's which. And then after a period of time, you double up. You take both. And so these kind of investigations are going to help us answer whether the therapies are better or equal to or inferior to the standards of care, the current therapies that are available. And it's not until we study how quickly the drugs work, how quickly we see clinical effects, how quickly they wear off before we can answer intelligent questions like CJ's. Because it's going to take some investigations. Now, we can hypothesize based on how quickly we see a clinical effect, how we would transition from drug A to drug B. I have many YouTube videos presently where I talk about switching from drug A to drug B. And a lot of those videos are information that I've gleaned from treating patients for 20 years. But a lot of those videos come from in clinical investigations. Now, some of them I figured out because I've been able to study how long does it take for a drug to kick in. I learned that from clinical trial information, and I extract that information, and I try to compartmentalize it so I can try to answer this question. So, at present, I don't think we know the answer. But I think through the current clinical trials that we're running, we will be able to come up with answers exactly like that. That was a great question. Thank you. So the next question comes from Dawn Bird, and I'm going to change up the filter. There we go, and you can see my puppy dog back there. And Dawn Bird asks, what do you believe is the safest MS drug? So I think the safest MS drug is probably Copaxone. So gluteramine acetate, or Copaxone, is an injection. This came out in the 90s, I think 95, if I remember correctly. And it's a shot. It's about 1 cc of fluid, 1 ml of fluid, and it's given under the skin. Nowadays, we give a dose of 40 milligrams 3 times a week. I want to give a shout out to my mentor, Omar Azar Khan, because he developed that clinical trial, which proved that you could give the drug 3 times a week. And I think that's probably the safest MS therapy that's out there. Why? Because gluteramine acetate, Copaxone, does not cross a membrane. It does not activate a receptor. It is 4 amino acids in a random order. And what it's doing is it's creating peripheral immune tolerance. In English, you're showing the immune system these 4 proteins which mimic myelin. And so you're saying, hey, immune system, come here, take a look at that. And the immune system says, okay. And then 2 days later, you say, immune system, come back here, look at it again. And the immune system says, okay. And then again, you say, come here, come here, come here, look at this. And eventually the immune system literally becomes bored. It no longer cares. So later, when the immune system sees actual myelin in the brain, it says, I saw that yesterday. I don't really care. And instead of launching a pro-inflammatory cytokine phenomenon, the immune system instead kind of releases an anti-inflammatory response. And so that action does not create a lot of risk for human beings. Copaxone, gluteramine acetate, doesn't interact with other medicines, and it's safe under a multitude of conditions. You can give someone with MS who's pregnant Copaxone. You can give someone with MS and cancer Copaxone. You can give someone with MS and HIV Copaxone. So there's myriad options, and I think it's one of the safest medicines. Now, no drug has no risk, and you have to jab yourself with a needle when you take Copaxone. And if you jab yourself with a needle long enough, you can get divots in your skin. That's called lipoatrophy. Now, that's not necessarily like a life-threatening condition, but it's not very nice. Depending on your injection technique, it is a small risk that you can get necrosis of the skin. But again, if you use proper technique, we normally don't see that. And very rarely, you can have an idiopathic injection reaction. Now, that's doctor talk for. You give yourself the injection, and then you feel like you're having a panic attack. It's extremely rare. It's actually not dangerous, but it can scare the bejesus out of you if you don't know about it. And so to answer your question, I think probably the safest MS medicine is Copaxone. All right. Let me take a look here. Look for a question that we haven't hit yet. So Bluthen says, thank you for fielding my questions, Dr. Boster. Bluthen, you're awesome. I really enjoy you on this channel. You always ask fantastic questions and have great comments. And so thank you for being here, and thank you for being a moderator. Mystic Firefly says, wow, EBV, interesting. And I actually have a video that I made recently talking about EBV. Now, the video that I made was not talking about the association of EBV and MS because that's been well described, but there was a paper which actually explained why. And that was a really fascinating paper, and so I took some time to review that. If you haven't checked that out, definitely take a look at it. So Allison says, should those on B-cell depleter medications, such as Kesimpta, avoid certain foods like raw honey, probiotics, raw food, etc., because of a lowered immune system? No, I don't think so. And so I don't feel that you need to avoid certain foods or probiotics just because you're on a B-cell depleter. Why? Because you're not massively dropping down the immune system. The immune system is really, really big, okay? And there's two big parts to the immune system: the innate immune system and the adaptive immune system. And when you take a B-cell depleter, the innate immune system, you don't touch it, just the adaptive system. Now, amongst the adaptive immune response, there's the T cells and there's the B cells. So the T cells are the cellular response and the B cell is the humoral response. And you don't touch the T cells at all. Now, amongst the B cells, there's a life cycle of the B cell. You've got the baby B cells, then they grow up, and then they can become memory cells or they can become plasma cells. And you don't affect the baby cells and you don't affect the plasma cells, just the adult B cells. So when you think about the entire immune response, it's really affecting a sliver of the immune response. And as a result, you're not massively immunosuppressed like you might think of like 1980s chemo. And as a result, I don't think that you have to avoid probiotics and raw honey. Now, I'm not giving you medical advice, and you need to, of course, talk to your MS neurologist about what's right for you. But just speaking in generalities, I don't think that's a concern. That was a great question. Thank you very much. All right, let's change it up. I am going to jump back to the Snapchat filters before we wrap up today. Let me reach down here and randomly grab another filter. Oh, one of my absolute favorites. ZZ Top Yo is in the house. This is fantastic. I love this righteous beard. All right, let me answer a question as ZZ Top. And I'm going to say something I said earlier. I am not trying to be disrespectful when I use the Snapchat filter. I'm just kind of having a good time and letting loose a little bit with you guys. And I hope that it's not offensive. I've had a couple comments that people thought I was being rude. And that's not my goal at all. I spend a lot of time educating and energizing and empowering people impacted by MS. I do this just because I think it's really important. I don't make money doing this. I don't monetize my YouTube channel. I make these videos for you every Monday because I love you and because I want to up your game. And right now, this is an opportunity once a month to kind of cut loose and answer your questions and interact with you in a fun manner. Gosh, there's 288 of you online. Thank you so very, very much. But please don't take offense when I throw up a Snapchat filter. So what kind of question do we have here? So Colleen Hurley says, can you explain T2 and flare signal abnormalities in the pons and midbrain? So that's a really great question. So this gets into the MRI, something that I studied a lot when I was in fellowship. And I have several YouTube videos on MRI. I recently did a YouTube video which will be coming out later, I think in August, where I look at the MRI of the spinal cord of someone that has primary progressive MS. So when you talk about T2 and flare, those are technical terms, and they really reflect inflammatory changes on the MRI. And so when you see a bright spot on the MRI, it's either a T2 or a flare. That's what that bright spot is. So when you talk about a lesion or a bright spot, you're typically talking about T2 or flare. And it shows you the location of the problem. And so when you talk about the pons in the midbrain, that's the brain stem. It's the base of the brain. And that is a very, very important structure in the brain. And so in the midbrain, it controls sort of the motors that run your eyes. And when you get in the pons, there's a bunch of important structures which involve the face. And so when you have T2 lesions of the midbrain or the pons, you can have a lot of problems with cranial nerves, moving the face around and whatnot, and the way that your eyes work, and the way that your mouth moves, and the way that you have sensation of your face. Also, the sensory pathways for your arms and legs, they course through the midbrain of the pons, and the motor fibers course through the midbrain of the pons. So this is high stakes real estate. So it's kind of like a very, very important area, and lesions there typically don't go unnoticed. Now we have been going for an hour, and I'm gonna wrap up this YouTube. I'm gonna jump out of this, and I wanna say thank you. We had 300 and some odd people on today. I think that's a record. I am delighted. Thank you, all of you, for participating. Thank you for watching my YouTube videos. As long as you keep watching them, I'll keep making them. I really appreciate your participation on the channel. Thank you for the comments that you leave. That means a lot to me. I read every single one of them, and I'm going to continue to do these monthly live streams. So If you like what we're doing here, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And if you haven't yet, make sure that you sign up for the Boster Corner. That's a monthly newsletter, and it has all the dates of my live streams so that you never miss another one. So until my next Monday video, or until my next live stream next month, or until I see you at the Boster Center for MS, this is Aaron Boster saying be safe and take care and have a great night, guys. God bless.